Now, there are many ways to access ChatGPT, either via the browser or indeed using an app. For example, I have an app on my iPad, as you can see now. Whichever one suits you, obviously you'll use it. If you're pretty familiar with ChatGPT user interfaces, such as the browser or apps, you might want to skip these next few lectures, but you might actually pick up a few tips and tricks along the way if you do watch them. For example, image analysis, which is freely available in the free version. And what do I mean by free version? Well, as you can see on the screen now, I've just got the chatgpt.com URL set up in a browser. I've not logged in. I don't have a free account. I haven't subscribed. It's just straight up anonymous. Now, anonymous just means, as I haven't logged in or subscribed, they don't know anything about me in regards to the sorts of chats I'm performing and other information. But I would like to point out, potentially, your IP address, which could backtrack to your actual location, say a city and state and country, potentially could be recorded. So bear that in mind when you're using even the browser-based ChatGPT with no actual login or subscription. That's always a key point: privacy. Let's have a quick look at what's available to you on the free version. If you click on this, you can start a new chat. Now, bear in mind, when you start a new chat, your previous chat is lost. So there's no record, at least at the front end, of your chats. So you can't refer back to previous chats like you could in a subscription or even the free account. And I'll talk about the free account later. If you click on ChatGPT like this, you'll get the try advanced features for free. So that's where it's encouraging you to log in or sign up for free, and we'll cover free accounts shortly. Then on the right-hand side, of course, you have your login button or a sign up for free button or a help button. Now, when you click the help button, you get other options. See plans and pricing, of course. You might want to explore that. Settings, help center, release notes, and terms and policies. Now, these are pretty standard across all of the user interfaces for ChatGPT, but the one I want to point out is settings. You'll notice general, improve the model for everyone. So this allows your content to be used to train the models. So you really have to think about whether you want that to be allowed or not. If you want to keep everything, at least in the chat side of things, private, then I'd recommend leaving that switched off. Again, it's up to you. But my main point with privacy is don't share anything that's private, like medical information, credit card information, anything that's what's known as PII, personally identifiable information. So bear that in mind when you're working with ChatGPT, and that pretty much applies to anywhere you're working, really, doesn't it? So let's have a look at some of the things we can do in this space here. And this space here is your main prompt window. This is where you communicate with ChatGPT, such as asking questions and so forth. Now, we have some options available here, like attach, images, documents, or apps. Now, if you try to connect apps, you'll see what happens. It's going to ask you to log in, and typically we would use a paid version to connect to apps, and we'll be doing that later in the course. We can search the internet, and you'll notice we'll see trending updates or trending articles available. So these will change from time to time depending on what's happening in the world. If we click on study, well, help me with my homework, explain a topic to me, create a practice quiz. We can also create an image. Now I'm going to click on this and see where we go. Well, guess what? You got to sign up. So there's some catches, as you're probably noticing by now. So you might think voice, oh, I can actually talk to ChatGPT. Well, there's a catch.
Hi there. I just want to share how thrilled I am to work with you, and I can't wait to get started. So what's the game plan?
Well, the game plan is this. First, can you hear me? As you can see, there's no response. Again, you need to have an account to use voice. All you can do is click on the various names of the synthesis for the voice. For example, if I click on Juniper.
Hey there. I've got a really great feeling about us teaming up. How can I jump in and help?
That's all you'll get with the free version. Let's go back to chat. However, there are some useful tips here that are worth exploring, and I'll give you one example before we jump into the next lecture. Now, if we select the attach option, you'll see something very useful in a minute. We have images, documents, and connect apps, as I've mentioned before. You notice both of these require a login. I should have pointed that out first before I clicked that one in my excitement. But if we click on images, it'll take you to your local folder to pick an image, or you can do this. You can just drag one across and ask some questions. So this is some old shopping receipt that I found. I'm going to ask it to analyze it. So I'm asking it to analyze my shopping spend to give me an idea of just how much I spent, whether I overspent, categories of the spend, in other words, dairy products, fruit and vegetable, and so forth. Now, the time can vary. In this case, it was very fast, but sometimes you might sit and wait for 5 minutes before the processing is completed. But we can see here it's given me an output here. Big picture, total spend, $175, 37 items, type of shop, full grocery plus household staples. And then it goes into some further analysis like the various categories and the totals within those categories. So it's pretty cool in that respect. And of course, you could put up the next receipt and get some more analysis and potentially some comparisons between the two spends. But of course, it's not going to be persisted. You'll lose it the minute you get out of this chat or this session. Now you notice at the bottom of the screen, you've reached your file upload limit. So again, there's caps here. I think this was the second file I put up. So there's probably 1 to 2 or maybe even 3 files. It just depends on where you are in time. So today, which is dare I say, it's February 2026, you could get to the middle of 2026. It might allow a few more uploads of files, but nonetheless, as I say, there's always restrictions when you're looking at something for free. Let me start a new chat here and ask it what the model is. Are we using the latest and greatest? So the chat we're working with today is based on GPT 5.2. Consequently, we could say at this point in time writing this lecture, we're actually using the latest GPT family. Now, of course, again, if you're watching this mid-2026, you might find it's something else like GPT 5.4, for example. How recent is the training, I'm going to ask? So that's pretty good. That's August 2025, so that's quite late. Of course, if you ask a question that pushes past the boundary of that date and year, it'll actually do a web search to find the latest information. So that's a brief overview of what the free, anonymous, as I like to call it, version of ChatGPT does. As I say, and I will ripple this message all the way through this course, do not share your personal information. And indeed, if you're working at a company, which is what this course is designed to be all about, then don't share enterprise data and information. However, if the company is using an enterprise version, there's other guardrails that will be put into place to prevent leakage of confidential information. But that's a bit out of the scope of this course at this point. See you in the next lecture.